Let's bring in co-host of The Five right here on Fox News, Juan Williams, and the national spokesperson of the Republican National Committee, Kayleigh McEnany. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks, Shannon.
Good to be with you.
Okay, so Lindsey Graham, he is generally a supporter of much of what the president does. They do break from time to time, but he said today one sophomoric response does not deserve another. Speaker Pelosi's threat to cancel the State of the Union is very irresponsible and blatantly political. But he went on to say, Kayleigh, that, you know, kicking her off this Codell trip, that's inappropriate too.
You know, I have to agree with Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy here, who said, what does it take really to get Democrats to stay here in Washington? There's nothing more important than ending this shutdown, than ensuring 800,000 federal workers get paid on Tuesday. If that means grounding this 7-day excursion, which also included a trip to Brussels, and keeping Nancy Pelosi here, then that's what it takes, because Nancy Pelosi had every interest in being in Hawaii. Democrats had every interest in being in Puerto Rico on the beach last week. We have to keep them here, and pulling them to the negotiating table to stand across from the president, secure our border, and end this shutdown is the priority.
All right, Juan, to that point, Senator Inhofe, obviously a Republican, he chairs the Senate Armed Services Committee, said this: I can see why he'd do it, talking about the president. She's the top leader of the House, and she's the top negotiator to open up the government. You can't open up the government from Afghanistan, so I think he has every right to do it. What's your response, Juan?
Well, I think we've seen a lot of spin from both sides, but the spin right now from the White House and the spin that you just read from Senator Inhofe strikes me as so hypocritical. President Trump, during this shutdown, Shannon, went overseas. He went to Iraq, I think it was, you know, and
as
to
Commander
look
in
at.
Chief.
Right, and so
after everyone had criticized him for not going to see the troops.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I mean, he was taking so much heat over not visiting the troops.
That's what I was saying. So people had been pressing him to go, and he went right during the shutdown. Nobody said, hey, you can't leave Washington because you've shut down the government. And remember, it was Republicans who had passed a continuing resolution that he refused to sign that would have kept the government open. And tonight, as you were hearing from Ed Henry, there's the First Lady flying off again on a government-funded aircraft. We are in a moment where it's not only 800,000 people not being paid, but then you have the administration bringing back people at the State Department, bringing back people at IRS, dealing with the fact that we have long lines at airports, and our own Coast Guard now is struggling because they don't have the ability to stop some of these drug runners. This is what we should be dealing with, but instead we're dealing with boorish behavior, I think, by President Trump.
Okay, so let me play something from Senator Leahy, one of the most senior Democrats there over on the Hill. Here's what he says.
Forget petty games. Let's sit down and open the government up. There are real people suffering, real people in my state and everywhere else who aren't going to be able to pay the mortgage, pay their kids' schools, pay doctors. That's wrong.
Quick response from you both. Kayleigh, you first.
You know, first I would say, even within Nancy Pelosi's own caucus, Democrats are breaking from her. When you see Steny Hoyer saying, no, a wall's not immoral, yes, they're effective. Many others, Senator Merkley saying that, many others, both in the House and the Senate, saying, no, walls actually do work. They are breaking from Nancy Pelosi, who's catering to this radical Ocasio-Cortez, open borders, abolish ICE mentality. There's one mature person here, and it's President Trump. And Juan, to try to compare Nancy Pelosi, who was on a beach in Hawaii when President Trump visited the troops. President Trump skipped Christmas vacation, skipped New Year's, has not been to Mar-a-Lago. He has sat in the Oval Office, ready, willing, and able to negotiate, while Nancy Pelosi says, I'll give $1 to border security before going off to vacation. There's one responsible party here. It is President Trump.
All right, Juan, close us out.
I think she said $1 to a wall, because what you have here is a situation where now you have Gary Cohn, who is the president's former top economic advisor, saying he doesn't understand this shit, doesn't know where it's going, and it's damaging our economy for all Americans, in addition to denying people pay. And, of course, we talk about the 800,000 federal workers. We don't even talk about the contract employees who are also losing money. So it seems to me we have to just deal with the idea that the president's fixated on this wall as a political symbol, and you have people saying, you know what, if he gives it up, he's going to lose with his base. But I think we should do more than just play politics.
Well, people feel that
people are killing Americans.
We got to leave it there because people feel that way on both sides. It's interesting to know that polling shows that support for the wall is actually growing over the last few months. But we'll see where this game of chicken ends. In the meantime, Juan and Kayleigh, thank you both.
Thanks,
You're
Shannon.
welcome, Shannon.